Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I'm going to share how to put together the Trinity Stamps Slimline box card dies. These dies cut and score everything you need to make a slimline size box card. And then I'm going to share that without any additional dies, just a brad and a paper piercer, you can make an interactive element on these box cards. So let's jump right into making this interactive slimline box card.
So the first thing you want to do is cut out the pieces that you need to make the box card. This large one, you need 2 of to create the box card. So I take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, I cut in half vertically, and then I hold this die in place with some purple tape and then run it through my die cut machine. So again, I need 2 of these guys, and then I'll also need 2 of these skinny pieces, at least 2. You could actually just do 1. These are the pieces that will go inside the box card. They're kind of like the little steps or stages inside the box card. These other stitched rectangles, I didn't use a lot of these in this first card, but I will use more in the second card, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so first thing I like to do is reinforce all of the score lines with some type of bone folder or scoring tool, and they're pretty easy to determine where they are, so just fold them down and score them. It doesn't really matter the direction at this point because you're going to put it all together and you'll figure out exactly how it needs to go. These pieces go next to each other in the same direction. So the flap on the first piece is on the right hand side, same with the second piece. You're going to put a little piece of score tape on the underside of the flap. So I have it folded up towards me. I'm just going to put that tear tape from Thermoweb on that flap. Then I'm going to remove the protective layer, and then I'm going to line up these 2 rectangles. You can see the top corners and bottom corners are the same exact height. Line them up so that they're exactly together, and then close the flap and press down to adhere it together. Now you've got the basis of the box card kind of all in one piece. Now these little inner pieces here again have score lines on the side, so you want to reinforce those score lines, and it will just make it easier for you to attach everything. Once the score lines are reinforced, then you can start putting some tape on the outside of those flaps so that you can adhere them inside the box card. Again, these are going to be different tiers or levels so that you can have different heights and different depths inside the box card. And that just gives you the ability to create lots of depth and dimension inside your box card. So it's like a shadow box with different kind of like shelves inside. Okay, so I am putting the left-hand side of those shelves adhered in 2 different spots, and I just kind of guess how I'm gonna have it. I'm not really good at designing exactly where it's going to be, and sometimes that gets me in trouble where things are too tall for the inside or whatever, but you just make it work. So I put 2 of them in 2 different depths and 2 different heights. One is low and up front, one is high and further back. Now I'm gonna put score tape on the other sides. These are the right-hand sides, and I'm gonna put score tape on the flap of the right-hand side piece of the box card. So everything's got score tape where it needs to be right now. I'm going to peel off those protective layers of all 3 so that we can kind of close this thing all up and adhere the shelves on the inside at the same time. So I'm just going to peel off this last protective layer, and then as I'm closing up the box, I'm going to make sure the shelves are straight, and I'm going to make sure that flap adheres to the other side of the box. And now you have this box, and you can see when you fold it down, it is the size of a traditional slimline card, which is really cool because if you have a slimline envelope or if you make one, this will fit inside once it's all folded down, and then when it pops up, it's like this shadow box. So these stitched rectangle pieces can go on the flaps here if you want. I figured here my blue box is all sky, and then the green is kind of like grass because we're going to have a little parade marching across those little grassy shelves there. I'm going to cut a little hill. I'm just hand cutting this. It doesn't really need to be perfect. You really won't see the hill itself. It'll just kind of be the ability to have one of your characters march in the parade over the hill. So that is what I'm gonna use to make the interactive piece. These are the Hometown Parade characters from Trinity Stamps. I've cut and colored them and die cut them out. Then I paper pieced a hole in the hill and put a brad in it. And then I have a strip of cardstock doubled up just for a little sturdiness and a pierced hole through that. And now I'm using a brad setter because I didn't want to ruin my nails to get the brad to open up and then have the wings of the brad lay flat on the cardstock. So that brad setter can be really handy sometimes. And now you can see the arm can go back and forth around that hill. I put a little foam square on the top of that little arm that I've created, and then I attached my little hippo, and you can see how she can then kind of walk over the hill. This is the new Ultra Bond pen, which has a really nice thin top like the original does as well, but it's a little handier to use. It's a little easier to squeeze out. I really like it. The only thing about the Ultra Bond again is that it has a slower dry time, so you do have to hold these in place just for a few seconds until they catch, and then just don't mess with it a while until it's fully dry. But once it's fully dry, it'll be super strong and it dries clear as well. So that new format of the Ultra Bond, it's the same adhesive, it's just in that handier little pen area there. So I really like this new Ultra Bond. So I am using that to adhere all my little characters. This little mouse is driving a little car with a fishbowl in the back. Just so cute, these little guys from the parade. And then my sentiment is on a flag. So I put a little bit of adhesive on the front of the flagpole and then adhered it to the back of the little hippo's hand. And then I popped up a ball kind of bouncing in the background as well. So you can see that our little hippo just goes over and back over the hill, which is just a really easy way to create an interactive element. The hard part is creating the box card die, but that is made really simple with the Trinity Stamps box card dies. Okay, for this second card, I'm using the You Are Loved stamp set, which I am coloring in the Loved with some colors of Copic marker. And once I have those kind of blended in between, I'm using the matching dies to cut them out as well. I have my bone folder again, and I have the 2 large pieces that I cut out of the box die. So I need 2 of those. I've cut them all out. So now I am just reinforcing those score lines so that everything is much easier to put together once all of those score lines are reinforced. Like I said, it doesn't really matter which direction you do them. I notice when the score lines are on one side, I like to fold them down basically, but you'll figure out exactly how they have to go once you set them next to each other. So I have the 2 pieces next to each other. I have the flap folded in, put a little bit of the Thermoweb tear tape on that back side of the flap. And once it is fully lined up, I did have to use tweezers to get that protective release paper off. Once they're lined up together at the top corner and the bottom corner, I just close the flap and that adheres those 2 pieces together. Again, this time I have everything in this aqua color, so I am also cutting out the little interior pieces in the aqua color as well. I only adhered 1 little shelf on this one, and if you just put the tear tape on the outside of the flap here and then close it, that's an easy way to get everything adhered together except for these interior shelf pieces. So this time I decided to create the box and then add the second shelf piece so I could see exactly where it was going to go in relation to the first one that I had already adhered. So I adhere the sides down to both sides of the box and just make sure everything is straight so that it's not too wobbly. I did cut all the stitched rectangles this time because I wanted to use them to decorate the box. So I'm using the Puffy Clouds stencil, the Trinity Stamps Blending Buddy brush, and some Distress Oxide ink and some purple tape to hold everything in place so that I can ink blend some clouds on these white cardstock stitched rectangles. So I cut 2 of almost everything except for this large one. I only needed 1 of, so that I could cover all of the flaps with these different cloud pieces. So I'm just going to adhere this one down to the back of the box card. This will not impact your ability to close the box card, which is really, really nice. This one is going to be adhered to this flap that folds down. Again, because all of these rectangles are slightly smaller than the flaps, it doesn't impact your ability to close the card down to a slimline size. It just kind of adds an extra element of decoration to the inside and outside of your box card. Once all that was done, I decided to create a rainbow, so I'm using the Trinity Stamps Fun Shine Rainbow dies, and they cut individual arcs of the rainbow in stitched lines in the middle of the arc, and then they also have a base piece that you can adhere all these to. And for you fans of purple, I did use Shaded Lilac for the last arc of the rainbow. Never fear, I do use the purple sometimes. I am attaching this sun that I had glued down to one of those arms that I created, and this time I put the brad right through the little shelf. So it looks like the sun is rising and setting. I'm going to adhere the rainbow behind it, which I think is really handy, and a little cloud as well in front of the little shelf there. And then this one I'm putting behind the shelf. So you can kind of play with how these elements are inside your box card, and you can have lots of fun creating with them. And then look at how cute and easy it is for that little sun to rise and set. I did add to the outside of the box card, it says, "This is no ordinary card," and then I added a little I'm interactive sign to the sun himself. And those are from Trinity Stamps Paper Crafting Magic stamp set, which has arrows and just little ways to tell people to pull the tab or push or whatever. So that is how easy it is to create an interactive element inside a slimline shadow box card die using those Trinity Stamps dies.
The greatest thing about this interactive slimline box card is that you can use any of the stamps that you have in your stash and make any of those graphics interactive. You could have a dog running across a lawn, you could have a fish swimming across a sea. All you need is the Trinity Stamps Slimline box card dies to make the base much easier to create. If you prefer to create a smaller size box card, check out this video over here where I share how I made a couple using Heffy Doodles dies. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Dies. One more time. One more time.